Chapter 6 Aftermath. As Arin tore through the bustling streets of Coruscant aboard his pilfered speeder, urgency fueled his every thought. The incessant alarms of his implants only added to the cacophony in his mind. His top priority remained to establish contact with the command to relay the vital information he'd acquired. Navigating the labyrinthine streets of the cityscape proved challenging. The towering skyscrapers and crowded thoroughfares offered little refuge from prying eyes and surveillance. Yet Arin's instincts guided him to a forgotten alleyway tucked away from the main arteries, its shadows providing a brief respite from the metropolis's chaos. After a swift check for any observers, Arin activated his comm link, connecting to Watcher 2 through a secure channel. The holographic projection of the Watcher materialized, her expression unreadable as she awaited his report. "Why are you breaking comm silence, Agent?" she queried sharply, her voice crackling with static. Arin responded curtly, his tone businesslike. "I possess the intel, but its encryption prevents upload. I require immediate extraction." Watcher 2's hologram flickered slightly. "Acknowledged, Agent. Providing extraction coordinates. What is your status? You sound strained." A twinge of discomfort shot through Arin's wounded shoulder as he replied, "I have encountered resistance. A Jedi." Watcher 2's holographic image faltered momentarily, surprise and concern flashing across her features. "A Jedi?" she repeated, her voice tinged with apprehension. "Are you injured?" Arin glanced at the lightsaber wound on his shoulder. "Yes," he admitted, his voice tight, "but I can still move." Watcher 2's expression hardened, her tone firm. "Understood. Coordinates incoming." Her holographic form held steady, awaiting Arin's confirmation of the received coordinates. Arin swiftly acknowledged, assuring her, "Received." "The shuttle will touch down within 4 hours. Do not keep it waiting," Watcher advised crisply. "I will not," Arin affirmed, his voice edged with determination. Suppressing the discomfort radiating from his injured shoulder, he tightened his jaw. The urgency of the situation propelled him forward, leaving no room for hesitation. Watcher 2's expression remained impassive, her holographic gaze scrutinizing him. "Stay focused, Agent. We need that intel." With a brisk nod, Arin signaled his understanding. As the holographic transmission dissipated, leaving the alley in shadow once more, Arin exhaled deeply. The surroundings offered both confinement and solace, a concealed refuge amidst the sprawl of Coruscant. Despite the pressing need for extraction, he couldn't ignore the severity of his injuries any longer. His next objective crystallized, securing basic medical attention before making his way to the extraction point. The ambient hum of the city served as a backdrop to his tactical deliberations. Consulting a holographic map, he pinpointed a nearby pharmacy. "It will have to suffice," he concluded, his focus unwavering. Guided by instinct, Arin navigated the streets toward the medical facility. The numbness in his left arm intensified, a persistent reminder of the lightsaber's impact. Every step fueled his resolve to surmount physical impediments and complete his mission. Discreetly slipping into the pharmacy through the rear entrance, he was greeted by the antiseptic aroma of medications. The steady hum of fluorescent lights overhead lent an illusion of normalcy as he sought out a medical room, a fixture in any establishment of its kind. Entering, a mix of relief and urgency washed over Arin. The room, though basic, contained the essentials needed for tending to his wounds. As he initiated the process, the remaining stimulants wore off, and the excruciating pain intensified, now spreading not only from his shoulder, but also radiating through his lower back. Arin gritted his teeth, determined to endure, but the rising fever weakened his resolve. The sensation of his legs giving way felt like a sudden severance, and Aaron crumpled onto the chilly tiles of the pharmacy floor. The world blurred around him, and a stark realization hit. He teetered on the edge of consciousness. His blaster, now his sole reliable companion, weighed heavily in his hand. In that critical moment, the door to the medical room swung open, revealing an oblivious pharmacy employee, a young woman with short brown hair clad in a white lab coat. Panic surged through Aaron, his grip instinctively tightening on the blaster's handle. The woman, preoccupied with her tasks, remained unaware of the intruder. A dilemma unfolded in Aaron's foggy mind. Should he shoot her to secure his escape, or spare her in hopes of receiving aid? The decision bore heavily on him, the pain threatening to overwhelm his senses. When the woman finally noticed him, she froze, her gaze meeting the blaster aimed in her direction. Aaron's feverish eyes locked with hers, a silent standoff ensuing in the cramped medical room. Summoning his dwindling strength, he rasped, "Are you alone?" The woman, her eyes wide with fear, nodded cautiously. A tense silence enveloped them as she assessed his condition. Approaching him with care, she spoke in a nervous yet compassionate voice. "You need help, and I can provide that. Shooting me gains you nothing." Aaron's grip on the blaster tightened, but the fog in his mind clouded his ability to respond decisively. The woman's words resonated, presenting him once again with the critical choice between self-preservation and potential aid. Hovering on the edge of consciousness, his body betrayed him, his fingers involuntarily releasing the blaster. With a muted clatter, the weapon fell to the floor, and Aaron followed suit, surrendering to the overwhelming pain and exhaustion. The pharmacy employee stood frozen for a moment, processing the surreal turn of events. However, her training swiftly kicked in, overriding any lingering shock. With determined efficiency, she approached Aaron and knelt beside him, taking a medical scanner out of her pocket. Meanwhile, the entrance of another pharmacist disrupted the tense scene. A Mirialan man adorned with intricate tattoos entered, a mix of confusion and surprise etched on his green-skinned face. "Jasamel, what's going on here? Who is this man?" the man inquired, his tone reflecting his perplexity. Jasamel, urgency coloring her voice, responded swiftly. "A dead one if we don't help him. Come on, Kais. We need to move him." Kais sighed, resigning himself to the task at hand, and joined Jasamel by Aaron's side. However, his attention was quickly drawn to the diagnostic display screen in Jasamel's hands. "Wait," Kais interjected, taking the scanner from Jasamel and scrolling through the results. "Damaged vertebrae in the lower spine. We need a stretcher to move him," he observed aloud, his brow furrowing with concern. "How was he able to move at all?" he wondered out loud. Jasamel, eager to assist, offered an explanation. "Stims. Look at his metabolite index, it's through the roof. He overdosed. They dulled the pain, allowing him to remain mobile, probably at the cost of additional damage." "It will be a miracle if his spinal cord remains intact," Kais muttered. Taking note of Jasamel's assessment, Kais instructed her to fetch the stretcher while he delved deeper into the medical scan. The list of injuries was extensive, ranging from minor contusions to more severe conditions such as a concussion, broken vertebrae, and signs of infection likely stemming from a shoulder wound. Kais focused his attention on the description of the shoulder injury, marked by its ambiguous nature. Puzzled, he set aside the scanner and leaned in closer to examine the wound firsthand, his professional curiosity piqued by its unusual characteristics. When he finished, a disconcerting realization dawned on him. The pieces of the puzzle fell into place, forming a grim picture of the events that had transpired. A concussion and a fractured spine in combination with the peculiar burn marks all pointed to a harrowing encounter with a lightsaber-wielding foe. When Jasamel returned with the stretcher, Kais wasted no time conveying his findings. "Jasamel, we need to report this. He's been in a fight with a Jedi," he stated urgently, concern evident in his tone. Jasamel's eyes widened in alarm at the revelation, but she shook her head vehemently. "We have to focus on saving his life first. Reporting can come later," she insisted, urgency lacing her voice. Kais, however, remained resolute, his professional integrity compelling him to act. "We can't ignore this, Jasamel. If we don't report it, we could be in serious trouble. I've already lost my license once for similar reasons. I refuse to risk going to prison for aiding a criminal," he argued firmly. The tension in the room escalated as the two pharmacists found themselves at odds over the course of action to take. Kais's expression hardened with determination as he pressed his point. "Jasamel, you're not seeing the bigger picture here. If this man actually fought a Jedi, it means he's not just some run-of-the-mill thief. We could be dealing with something much bigger than we realize," he stressed urgently. Jasamel's eyes flashed with emotion, her own convictions unwavering. "Kais, if we don't help him now, the only services we'll be contacting are the mortuary. We can't turn our backs on someone in need," she insisted urgently. Realizing the futility of the argument, Kais reluctantly nodded in agreement. "Fine, let's focus on saving him for now. But once he stabilizes, we report this. No more delays," he conceded, a stern undertone in his voice. Jasamel, appreciating the concession, nodded in return. "Agreed, Kais. Let's do what we can to help him now," she replied, her determination unwavering. The two carefully laid Aaron on a makeshift table, surrounded by shelves stocked with pharmaceuticals. Drawing upon his medical training as a former surgeon, Kais began to assess the extent of Aaron's injuries more thoroughly. "Considering his current state, it's going to be quite a challenge, Jas," Kais muttered, surveying the grim tableau before him. Jasamel, a competent pharmacist but not accustomed to the complexities of serious injuries, tried to assist as best as she could. "Kais, I'll do whatever you tell me. Just guide me through it," she urged, her eyes reflecting a mix of determination and anxiety. Kais took a deep breath, his professional instincts kicking in despite the limitations of their surroundings. "All right, we need to stabilize his spine first. Get me something to improvise a brace," he instructed, glancing around the pharmacy for available materials. Jasamel hurriedly fetched some sturdy packaging material, passing it to Kais. He fashioned a makeshift brace to support Aaron's spine, a temporary measure to prevent further damage. "Now the arm," Kais directed, moving swiftly to address the next urgent concern. He took a deep breath, surveying their limited resources. The unconscious form of Aaron lay on a sterile surface, his injured arm exposed and vulnerable. Jasamel stood nearby, ready to assist with whatever Kais needed. The wound demanded immediate attention. Kais reached for a medical kit filled with basic supplies. The pharmacy lacked the advanced equipment of a proper med bay, forcing Kais to rely on his skills and whatever he could find. He began by carefully cleaning the injured area with a sterilized solution, removing any debris or foreign particles. Jasamel handed him a set of sterile instruments, the metallic glint catching the ambient light. Kais, his focus unwavering, inspected the severity of the damage. The lightsaber's impact had cauterized the wound to some extent, preventing immediate bleeding. However, it also caused internal damage that needed addressing. Kais made a small incision with a precision scalpel, revealing the extent of the burned tissue beneath. His gloved hands moved with practiced expertise, navigating the delicate structures of muscle and tissue. Kais, aided by Jasamel, carefully removed damaged sections. The limited resources meant improvisation was key. Kais used a combination of specialized ointments and Bacta-infused bandages to promote accelerated healing. The distinct hum of a makeshift Bacta generator filled the air, its healing properties aiding in the regeneration of Aaron's tissues. The entire process demanded precision and skill, and Kais worked methodically, acutely aware that any misstep could prove lethal. After he finished, Kais wiped the sweat from his brow, his hands still trembling slightly from the adrenaline rush of the impromptu surgery. "Well, that went better than expected," he remarked, a hint of relief evident in his voice. Josamel nodded, her expression weary but satisfied. "Yeah, we make a pretty good team when we're not arguing," she quipped, a wry smile playing at the corners of her lips. Kais chuckled softly, the tension slowly dissipating. "I suppose we do," he conceded, casting a glance toward the still form of their unexpected patient. "But we can't ignore what happened here." Josamel's smile faltered, her brow furrowing in disagreement. "We don't know anything about him or why he was attacked. We can't just turn him over to the authorities without knowing the full story." "Joss, you can't be serious," Kais argued, gesturing toward the blaster lying on the floor where Aaron had dropped it. "He threatened you, didn't he? We can't risk our safety for the sake of a stranger." Josamel shook her head, her gaze unwavering. "He didn't threaten me, Kais. He was injured and disoriented. He didn't even have the strength to hold on to that blaster when he collapsed," she countered, her voice soft but resolute. Kais sighed, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "Fine," he relented, begrudgingly accepting defeat. "But if anything happens, it's on your head." Josamel nodded, her expression serious. "I understand, Kais, but I believe we're doing the right thing," she said firmly, her gaze drifting back towards their mysterious patient. "And who knows, maybe he'll surprise us yet."